if you're a people pleaser, this lesson is going to be learned in pain. I remember when I was 15 years old, I was so excited. I just had gotten my first job and I was getting paid $20 an hour at like the age of 15. It was incredible. There was awesome benefits. And I showed up nice and early on time and I would be friendly with everyone. I would go above and beyond. A lot of people loved me. The managers loved me. A lot of my coworkers. But all it took was a spiteful minority. They saw this 15-year-old kid. They were probably in their early 20s. And they thought, you know what? We're going to mess around with him because this kid has a bright future. It happens, and it might have happened to you. But anyway, I remember just over time, there would be these weird points where they would show things of jealousy to me. And they would do things that would say weird kind of passive-aggressive things and be a bit nasty, put me on garbage duty when, I should have been doing something else. And at the time, I was 15 and all I knew was to be nice to them. I thought, if I'm nice to this person, eventually they will soften up and they will like me. I didn't know how to speak up. I didn't know that when I got gut shot or hurt, I didn't know what to do about that. So I took it and I took it and I took it. And eventually I just got exhausted and frustrated and upset. And then enough was enough. I absolutely freaked out. I hailed down this almighty rage. I was crying. I was upset. I had my fist clenched up and I walked straight out angry and upset. And I thought, this guy's going to get fired. Anyway, I found out that he wasn't going to get fired, that I had no evidence against him or what he was doing. And I didn't really feel backed up by the managers. I think the managers were kind of more on his side. And that's okay. I left that job and I thought to myself, I never, ever, ever want to let that happen to myself again. Number one, I never want to lose control. And number two, I never want to let someone like that get to me and change who I am. And so I went on a journey. I studied and researched social dynamics and what happened. What had happened in that time? What had made me and allowed me to feel so ashamed and so mortified and so upset with myself? And what I realized was that I was a people pleaser and I cared far too much about how people saw me. And because of that, I would actually edit my personality. I would edit and subvert my honesty and my truth. And I would hold back and I would create a facade. And you see, what you're doing when you're creating a facade is you are taking maybe the truth of you that you deem ugly and you are covering it, right? It's like you're cutting off a piece of your arm. See, if the world and society and what you've been told that an arm is evil, if that's what you've been told, then you cut it off. Yes, you've conformed to the world's standards, but you've lost an arm. You've lost something that was a part of you and that ultimately had a use. In reality, it had a use. And so by being a people pleaser and being someone who cared about how people perceived you and trying to be nice, it's like you cut off every other single possibility about you. You cut off just the reality of who you are. And with that, you lose the capacity to be assertive. You lose the capacity to critique, to speak the truth, to go into conflict and be okay with conflict. You lose the capacity to, think clearly and make clear decisions. But along with that, you realize that you don't really lose any of that, because hiding behind your facade is the truth. And that suppressed so-called darkness, it builds up and builds up and builds up until it manifests in really ugly and destructive ways. You might lose a job, you might lose a relationship, you could ruin a business, doesn't matter. And so you can't let your darkness go unchecked. In fact, you need to let it out of the cage. You need to be one with your darkness. You need to use your darkness. And I went on a learning curve since that time. I started to become more honest, more authentic. I started to drop away relentlessly, prune my mindset around how people saw me. And I started to become needless. That means that I didn't need anyone to see me a particular way. I didn't need anything from anyone. I was just here present, and I knew God provided for me, and I was in love with God. And that was my needs all supplied for. I built up a faith net. And what that allowed me to do and be was be authentic. Now, first, when I thought about being authentic, it came out as me being a bit of a douchebag. You know, I started off, I'm like, hey man, I've been nice for so long, I'm just gonna be a prick. Anyway, you try it out, it didn't last long, because eventually, you know, I just wanted to be kind. And what I realized is that I've always had a natural drive for kindness and love. When I'm in a good state, I've always had it. I've never had to create this facade. And perhaps you don't need to create a facade as well. In fact, what if you let go of all the fears about how people see you, or you being a bad person, or your darkness being irredeemable, and you gave it up to God, and you gave it up to your mind, you let go. Just test it out, even for a day or for a week. And I promise you, you will realize that your nature is good in a particular way. That there's love within you beyond the corruption of your ego or your sin. There's goodness within you. Because once I realized that, I was able to be myself. So fast forward to another job. I remember I was being disrespected by a manager or supervisor. Now in the past, I would have accepted it and laughed it off and tried to be nice. But this time, I had my teeth out and I was smiling and I challenged them right back. And here's the beautiful thing. If you speak truth to evil, evil will shatter, it will burst, it will scatter. So I learned to speak truth and crush evil within its sight by speaking the light of truth upon the darkness. And all of a sudden, I learned that the more truthful I am, the more honest I am, the more respectfully honest I am, the more I would be respected. The more that I allowed my darkness and what I perceived to be my darkness to be with me and to naturally be there, the more I had love there, the more good I would be. And anytime I started to be kind, it wouldn't be because I had to pertain an image. It's because I loved being kind. It's because I loved helping someone. And I never had to be kind. I never had to be. That's just something that came out of me. And the cool thing is I trust my nature. Because I learned to trust my nature, I also learned how to be assertive, how to ruffle feathers, how to attack when I need to attack. And the cool thing about this is that as I integrated and used my darkness, it allowed me to communicate more. It allowed me to be respected. And it created this protection of respect, safety, and boundaries that allowed me to be my true self, my calm, sweet, loving and innocent self who just wants to serve and help others. So you bring your darkness along because it will make you more effective in this world. Sometimes it takes darkness, or what you see as darkness, to cut through all the crap in your mind and take action, to have a breakthrough. Sometimes it takes those untapped resources within you to do God's will, to do your mission. It seems like it's a dark practice, but it's not. This is a practice of love. This is a practice of doing God's will. Do you think that God is always going to be nice or lovey-dovey or kind? No. Far from the truth. In fact, in Proverbs it says that God only rebukes those who he considers his son, something along that. He rebukes those he loves. You need a rebuke. You need to be prepared to rebuke. You need to be prepared to challenge. Be prepared to fight, my brothers and sisters. Be prepared to fight so you'll never have to. If you can have teeth and allow yourself to have teeth in the fullest way, then you can also allow yourself to have love. And when you can allow yourself to have violence, which seems a bit counterintuitive, it means that you can choose non-violence. Because being meek and humble, there's no purpose to it. There's no purpose to it if it's not your choice. It should be a choice to be meek and humble. It should be a choice that you consciously make. It's not something that you should be trapped and beholden to. And once you learn to use your darkness, greater success comes your way. You save more energy. You create more beautiful relationships. You enjoy life. You respect yourself more. And greater things come your way because you're allowing yourself, you're protecting yourself and allowing yourself to be worthy of bringing better things into your life, higher responsibilities. Because you know, and God knows that you are safe because you have allowed that darkness to come out in a positive way. Peace.